And we are live. Hello, and well, I'll give a couple minutes for people to start rolling in. Um, it looks like it went smoothly this time. I tried to um, do something different and schedule the recording, and hopefully that works well. Uh, but this episode, we're joined by Con Mom Photography. So thanks Alex for joining us this episode. Would you mind giving us like a little bit of background on like where you're located, what cons you normally shoot at, your style of shooting, anything else that you want to add as well?
Well, I'm from Canada, from the GTA. We call it the Greater Toronto Area. I go to more Canadian cons because fuck US cons. Oh wait, can I swear? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can swear. We're gonna swear.
Too,
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Keep going. It's too late now, anyways.
Because American cons are so expensive, so I'm trying to convince more Americans to come to Canada.
So
Cool here.
I'm going to interrupt you. Expensive in what way? Because I've never been to Canadian
I'm
cons.
curious about that too.
Okay, so it costs for $1 American. Right now, it costs 81 cents in Canadian for $1 American. So it's like we have to pay more to get more money in American.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Just purely conversion rate thing.
It's just
yeah.
I was like, what do we do differently that makes it that much more money?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm just like,
though your gas is so much cheaper. So much cheaper.
That's good for like one thing. Great.
We did it. So, okay, sorry.
I've been shooting photography for seriously 4 years. I went to school for it. Same with videography, dabbled in that, and now I'm here.
Cool. How long have you been shooting cosplay for?
I'm gonna say 3 years because I kind of don't remember. When I started.
I know. I kind of feel like the same way when people ask me how long I've been shooting cosplay photography. I'm like, yeah, it depends on when you consider when I started shooting. I don't know.
I think I say 3 years every time someone asks me, and it's been more than 3 years.
Yeah, you're gonna be like shooting for like 10 years and be like, it's 3 years. So, one thing I wanted to get out there right away is before when I first announced this, I had someone. I just want to cover this quickly. And someone make a comment on the announcement post for this about someone not being able to do critiques, which let me be totally clear with this. There's no level of skill that you're required to have to be able to start critiquing work. As all of us, Alex went to school for photography, so I'm sure she's done critiques as well. And then Sarah and I went to school for graphic design. You're a bunch of students giving critiques, and that's how you're learning also through giving critiques on people's work. There is no level of entry to critiquing. This is something that's open for everyone, and that just incredibly ticked me off that someone claimed that someone should not be allowed to be giving critiques. I don't want to get into it and to say who it was because I don't want to go there. I'm not trying to call this person out, whatever, that's done. I just want to be absolutely clear that as the goal of this is to help people improve, but we also want to be improving through this, and I'm going to keep on bringing on guests that have different perspectives in photography than Sarah and I do, that have different backgrounds, different amounts of time they've shot, and that's totally 100% great, and there is nothing wrong with critiquing if if you're looking at someone's photo and you're trying to figure out you've been shooting for 1 month and you're trying to figure out what you like about the photo, what you don't like about the photo, how it's improved. That's totally fine. So
that's
please,
what you should be doing.
Yeah.
So considering like all of this, we want to be more welcoming in cosplay photography. We don't want to make this like a barrier to entry thing. So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest. And with that done, let's jump into the first photo. We're gonna look at this shot from Barry. Oh man, why are my webcams not working? Son of a gun.
No!
Don't worry. I'll get this fixed.
Love technology, you guys.
Hold on.
Great.
This is my bad. We're gonna.
Oh, I see what you mean. Never mind.
Yeah, there's no webcams sighting.
You don't need to see my gross no makeup face, you guys. It's fine.
We're gonna go like this. We're gonna full screen this image while I fix this for this shot. Sarah and Alex, do you want to jump in on this?
Can I start? I want to so I said that funny comment earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
So my first thought when I saw this photo, which is like not a bad thing, was like if you guys know who Saterial Productions and Don Dolce Photography are, I was like if they had like a love child, this is what their photo would look like. I really, really love this photo. The thing that resonated me instantly when I saw it was how rich the colors were. I am a huge sucker for when like there's like a red subject up against or like juxtaposed in some kind of way to like a green subject of some kind. So in this case, the greenery in the background. The colors in this are great. I really, really love the lighting too. It feels so soft and which is kind of like not what I was expecting at first, but the subject looks like really dark and intense, but I really like the soft lighting. Like I just like all these contrasting elements. It just like brings the photo together really well.
So having spent a fair amount of time in the VK world, I feel like actually this image is really well represents what you'd see in like your average J-Rock PV. So like knowing what this, I can't remember the band name that this cosplayer's cosplaying from.
Oh, is that what this is?
Yeah. This is some VK stuff.
Oh man, that's cool.
So I really feel like it fits the mood of a PV. Maybe a bit like soft in the blacks if you're all things considered. But like overall, really works well.
Looks like it could be in a magazine or something. Like it made me think like very like editorial feel, which I always dig when it comes to cosplay photography.
I am a huge fan of like a shallow depth of field, so I really love how the background's out of focus, and it just makes you draw in more into the subject. And it just makes the subject pop so much more. And you just want to stare at it. Like, I just want to stare at this photo all day. It's so beautiful.
Mesmerized.
Yeah. And the fact that the doors, and there's a bit of orange in the background too, just complements the subject so much more.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we should have like a button for this at some point, Sarah. We should have a button that just pops like nitpick time up on the screen, like bright flashing lights, because it's about to be nitpick time.
I know, it's like
because like
all the good stuff.
Yeah, I really like this photo overall, so it's time to jump in with those little details. So right off the bat, the thing that kind of bothers me the most in this photo, and I think you could maybe fix with some dodging and burning, is the face and the side of the viewer's left side of the chin. Get a bit of their neck, and the neck and the chin kind of blend together, and you lose kind of where the outline of their face is, and unfortunately gives the cheek a very square look to it. And I think maybe some dodging and burning if you like darken that area of the neck so that there was more of a way to determine where the neck is versus the jawline. I think that would just work a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
And let's see. The other thing is, I feel like could brighten those eyes just a little bit.
Yeah, I couldn't decide if they weren't bright enough or if it was just right. But now that I'm like zooming in, I think it could be a tad brighter.
Yeah, I think just a smidge brighter, and I almost wonder if this is part of the look, but the shadow underneath the eye is really a really deep shadow. So I
think that's definitely the makeup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I feel like that's the makeup, but I couldn't really tell. Yeah. Then since it's the makeup, I wouldn't touch it. So let's ignore that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome shot. I
should we talk about the because this always comes up.
Yeah.
Every time is the oh my god.
Dutch angle? Dutch angle?
Yeah.
The Dutch angle? You. Yeah.
I was gonna say something like that.
I like it personally. I think what's working for me at least is like the line. I can't think of. I'm not very good with words.
Shoji doors.
Sorry. The lines on the door, like all the lines are like converging to where the model is.
Yeah.
So it like draws me into the model like instantly. So this is an instance where like the Dutch angle and the lines from like the environment are like working together.
So I half agree with you.
Okay.
And I literally mean half. The half that you just talked about, I really like. The right half of this image, the Dutch angle works. It makes a more interesting angle to the image. What I don't like is the Dutch angle on the left side of the model. Like I feel like it works on one side more than the other.
Better than the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So like.
Yeah, because if you cover the background.
Yeah.
And then if you cover the other background, they look like they're floating.
Yeah, it's yeah. So it's weird because like I wouldn't give this image huge knocks for like the Dutch angle here because like it's half working and half not working. So I guess maybe that cancels each other out.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up because I feel like when we talk about it, it's usually in an instance where it's not working for the exactly. But here I feel like, it's good.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think one thing, the more I look at it, their pose is kind of, it's confusing me a little bit because it looks like they look thicker than they are because of the corset and the feathers. So I feel like if they brought the shoulder that's furthest away, like on the viewer's left, if they brought just a bit closer, I feel like they wouldn't be so, I don't know how to explain it, but like where the zipper is, it just looks like they're very wide. So if they were just brought to the camera a little bit more, I feel like they wouldn't be as wide.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree with you there. Also that front hand, I maybe think bring it just up just a little bit to kind of match the height of the backhand. It's like I feel because the hand's straight onto the arm, you kind of lose where the hand is versus the arm.
Mm-hmm. And also, the more I'm looking at it too, it looks like they're flipping you off. So where the hand is, it kind of looks like they're holding up their middle finger. So making sure their hands either.
Oh no, I can't unsee it.
Yeah, making sure their hand is either like kind of open all the way or closed all the way, so you don't have that illusion of as if they're flipping you off.
Damn.
Yeah, I totally see.
It's like all I can see. This is all I can see. Again, we're nitpicking, you guys. We're at that point of the critique photo already.
Almost wonder if that's intentional.
Do you think?
I don't know. Zoom in on the hand and tell me if that doesn't feel intentional. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Maybe.
I mean, I've seen some weird things that people, when I tell them to, like, you know, extend their hand out, like, I've seen some shit.
Well,
so I don't,
whatever. I'm not gonna. So what we're saying is, if it is a middle finger, make it more prominent. If it isn't a middle finger, maybe hide that.
Don't be halfway to the hair. Don't be
don't be like,
kind of there.
Okay.
We're ready.
This photo's dope.
Yeah,
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready to move on to the next one? It's by Christine W. or Fluffy Fox Photography. We're back to cameras now that I fixed the problem.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see my own face.
So what I'm doing this time is while we're looking at it as well and figuring out what we want to say, I will full screen it for the viewers. Okay, anyone want to jump in on this one, or should I attack it? Attack. It's probably not the right word.
Attack. I'm
Feels
gonna
very...
post this to my Instagram story.
Oh, okay. I know, I always feel like I want to post, share this to Instagram as well, but I'm like, I'm live! Too many things!
Whatever, I'm on my phone. Whatever. That's fine.
Okay. Well, then I will jump into this. The first thing that I think of when I look at this image is it feels a bit underexposed to me. And I really wonder how this, like, how dark it was, in this actual, like, environment, because, like, what you're not going to be able to see on stream, is this photo is pretty grainy, when you start zooming into it. Probably, I would categorize this in the totally fine for Facebook quality level of grain.
Yeah.
But at the higher res quality that we're looking at, it's pretty grainy. So I'd imagine it was, you know, it was probably getting a little darker than this image probably looks. And so, like, pumping up that exposure in camera probably was going to be harder to do than you would have liked, because you probably were fighting against the light. But I do think it is still a bit underexposed, specifically on the sun in the photo, because, like, this photo might end up feeling a lot stronger if you were to, like, select, like, make a selection for the cosplayer and do, like, some lightning on them and some general dodging and burning and kind of make them pop out more of the scene. Because right now they feel like they're, like, brightness wise, they're not popping out. They're kind of the same, like, brightness level as the rest of the image. The only like really bright areas are down in the river and the very, very top of the frame. So, like, I want her to be brighter than the background. So, like, you could make a selection and then brighten her up and do some general dodging and burning that would help with having her pop out of the photo more. I think also the pose for me ends up feeling a bit weird. Her shoulders are squared to the camera. Like, they're straight onto the camera. Yet her hips are starting to turn, and then, like, one foot looks like it's whatever. Not parallel. The opposite of parallel to the camera. I can't think of the word.
But they are parallel to the
perpendicular. Camera. Perpendicular. Not the feet, because parallel would be.
Oh, the feet.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like, we're getting this twist up in her body, And I would like her shoulders to be at like the same amount of twist as her feet, and then maybe have her head that's looking back at you, because right now her shoulders just end up like unintentionally feel like they've got a lot of tension in them because they're just so square onto the camera. And then it also, I think, is the poses unintentionally enlarging her, because her hips are kind of starting to pop out a little bit more with that pose, and it makes her hips look a lot wider than they actually are. So just a little bit of that turn of her shoulders, so like her for this, it would be her right shoulder was closer to the camera than her left shoulder. I think that would balance out the pose a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the pose it doesn't scream San to me. San? Is that her name?
Yeah.
San? Yeah. It's weird. Because of that hip pop, it's weird, but it's a little bit too sexy. Like the way like the hips popped out, because she's so like, she's strong and like powerful. That is not a San powerful pose. I would have had her like crawling on the rock or something, not with the hip popped out like that. Maybe her feet more spread out and more her shoulders pushed back and turned a bit, with her head up higher, just to show that powerful pose.
Yeah.
I don't like San should not be afraid to get like down and kind of dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how deep this river is, but I kind of want her to be in the water. Like, yeah. I feel like on the rocks cool, but I think having her in the water is going to would be a lot neater. I get the impression, based on kind of those rocks peeking out, that it's maybe not that deep of a river, so you could make it work. But, you know, maybe it wasn't. So, given the fact, let's say, that she had to stay on land, I think a different pose would just overall end up working out better for her.
I wonder if they had another shot where it wasn't far back, because the highlight in the water is so distracting. It's all I'm staring at, because that's the brightest part of the photo, and it's more sharp than the actual subject. And I can't tell, but if in the background, I'm not sure if they put in fake.
Yeah, I couldn't tell on those sunbeams,
because they don't look real the more I zoom in, but she's completely out of focus. Like, there's no sharpness.
I don't think she's completely out of focus. I think this is,
or is it just that bad? Really grainy?
I think the grain's really, really getting to this image, because like I'm looking at it, I think the focus point landed, because like I'm kind of looking at the river and comparing it to like the rock she's standing on, and I think she's in focus, but it is grainy, and it does not feel very sharp. But I don't know. It's hard. I think also this is a shot that is fighting a bit for where it wants to go in terms of colors. So I think you either need to fully buy in on the green backgrounds and edit the background to be a really vibrant green, which I think I'm normally not a huge green fan, but like Princess Mononoke, the forests in there are very, very green. So I think you buy in there. But you're starting to get these yellows in the background, so I feel like if you wanted to also play into those and take the greens more of a yellow instead, that could also work in your favor. So, but right now
I was gonna bring up the yellow too.
Yeah, right now it's just like, you know, there's some strong yellow, orangey yellows, and then there's some greens, and it's a bit too across the board for me. I'd want it to be one or the other. Excuse me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think this is like an image that you shouldn't be afraid to like play with the colors because it is from a Miyazaki film. I mean, his films are so vibrant. But yeah, I feel like just go balls to the walls with it, I think.
Yeah, other quick thought before we move on this shot. I know we've talked about this previously, but go in, grab the liquify tool in Photoshop and spend a bit of time liquefying the top of her head. Her wig is kind of bunched up and pushed up, and it's giving her this kind of, for lack of a better term at the moment, bulbous top to her head. And that's just all the wig just being pushed up, especially with that band around her head. Which
is normal. We get it.
Yeah, it probably shifted when she was like moving out onto those rocks. She probably doesn't think the wig is like that high up on her head. So grab the liquify tool and just kind of press it down on her head a little bit and make the top of her head a little less big. So.
Yeah, usually like when I shoot cosplayers, I try to do everything to a wig or hair, whatever, at the shoot. So like if I was her or him or whatever, yeah, it was her, it's her. Even just go and fix the hair, because that would bug me. Like having that like mushroom shape, even the hair itself is kind of looks odd. I would have fixed it at the shoot. And just even like with your hands, because even I find, because wig hair is not real hair, your natural hand oils actually help the wig stay down, and like 100%. the flyaways keep down too if you like just pat it a bit. Of course, if the cosplayer is okay with it, but
man, I'm learning something new here. Awesome.
I think this brings up like a good talking way. We've mentioned this a couple times. It's just kind of like when you're shooting, like I know there are a lot of things going on like while you're shooting, which is why it's always good to have an assistant if they can come, but just to be like more cognizant of things that might be a mishap on the cosplayer themselves, because later on you're probably more likely than not you don't want to fix it in post because you're like, wow, this is a pain in the ass. I can't believe I have to do this. I could have done this on site.
Yeah.
So reminder, like always try to keep that in mind. There have been times when I've shot with people and I'm like, why didn't no one tell me that my wig was freaking ratchet? My freaking wig cap is showing. Yeah, so just like practice to be aware of those things. So like something like I always do, like before I start shooting, I'm like, first of all, because the wig is always a hot mess, that's like the first thing I look at on a cosplayer. Is their wig okay? And then anything else that might be amiss. But I usually start there. Yeah. Tangent anyway.
So I think we're due to move on to the next shot here. This next one we're gonna be is from, how do you pronounce it? Jackie?
Here.
Honey Tea Photography?
Jackie.
God. Man. Alright, let's ignore that. So, I'll full screen that for you guys. As Sarah goes to die.
Sorry, guys. I'm dying.
Stop it. No dying on stream. or maybe that'll get us more viewers. Die on stream, Sarah. No, please don't. So, I'd say my first thought on this shot applies to the framing of the shot. You've got a cosplayer whose legs are pointing to the left of the frame, and entire body is pointed to the left of the frame, which makes me want to have her more on the right third of the picture versus centered in the frame like she is at the moment. I think if you moved the camera over a little bit, that would kind of, it would make the image feel a little less cramped. Like right now I almost feel like visually, and I know this is a stretch, it feels like she's kind of like compacting herself to try and fit into the center of this frame. I know that's weird, but that's kind of what my eyes just are weirdly saying to myself. I think there's adjustments with the pose that need to be made, but even disregarding the pose, if you just had the her in the right of the frame, I think the image would feel stronger right off the bat.
I want to jump on the pose thing. So I agree. I feel like she feels very like she looks a little uncomfortable. And I kind of get that by reading, like, her back looks like really, like, she's kind of like slouching, but like kind of punching over. I mean, I'm guilty of doing this myself, so like, I feel, man. But I think if she was just kind of like sitting up straighter and kind of like, I mean, sticking her butt out more, I mean, for lack of a better term, but like kind of to create like an S-curve with her back would help her look a little less like she's like, you know, scrunched together, kind of like what Andrew was saying earlier, and also just look more comfortable. But also the other thing I was thinking of, because the way she's holding her jacket, it makes me think, I haven't seen this series yet, but it makes me think maybe the character's like kind of shy and meek. So I don't know if it's actually fitting for the character.
Yeah, I have no idea the character either. I think even let's say that this pose is kind of befitting the character. The fact that her hands are doing two different things is driving me nuts. Like,
yeah, they're like holding the jacket differently.
Yeah, I want them both to be like how her right hand is.
Agreed.
So that they're both kind of up in this position. I think that would end up feeling a bit more natural. I also think what you really want to do is, if you want to keep this pose with her sitting down on her legs like this, you want her back, the leg that is furthest back from the camera, that one's going to be the one that's up, and the one that's closer is going to be the one that's out. There are two reasons for this. One is we're going to be able to see a bit more of her torso. It's going to do less, it's going to shorten her less and make her feel a little bit less scrunched up. And number two, it's going to have the camera view less of underneath her skirt. Like, I don't know how else to put that, but if you switch which legs are out, up and out further, we're not gonna. It feels like then this image. It's not showing anything that shouldn't be shown, but I think like the initial feeling when this image was submitted, I almost questioned. Was like,
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's prison school, right, or something?
Yeah, she
okay.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of pervy.
That okay, well then maybe then that's exactly the point of it, and I'm totally
yeah.
That didn't bother me at all. Like
well,
every
shows
time
how
I
much
see
I
photos,
know.
yeah, it's like the girls are very like their boobs are fucking huge and their butt cheeks are always showing. Like that's
The one thing that's bugging me with this photo is it's because I know prison school, and Hana is not like, this pose is not Hana. Like
so she's not like shy and meek.
No, well, she's shy, but she like kicks ass. Like at one point in the anime, she like pees in a bottle. So
good.
Or no, she pees and throws a bottle on. I can't remember, but she you see her peeing. Like she wears pants. So I'm like, it's confusing to me that she's not wearing, like, she usually wears purple pants underneath the skirt. So like the pose,
you're right.
Yeah, it's just confusing me of why she's like all like I'm a damsel in distress kind of pose. So I mean, it would be really funny if she was crouching and she was peeing. That would be amazing. like in the anime.
We're
I don't
going
know if
there,
I'd
friends.
be reviewing that or critiquing that photo here.
I don't know where this is going, friends. This is 18 plus only.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
But like this location looks so familiar to me because I know this photographer is Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like her hair and the leaves are almost the same tones. Like her hair is almost like
Mallow was saying that in the comments.
Yeah.
Like her hair shouldn't be not blending in with the.
And I'm literally going to be just stealing directly from Mallow here. Is if you make those green of the leaves a deeper green, you're probably gonna fix a lot there.
Yeah, she would pop so much more too.
Yeah. I'm also gonna be super nitpicky, but because I used to cosplay.
We're about being nitpicky.
But the skirt, the wrinkles, it's all I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's bugging me.
Yeah.
If I see a wrinkle, it's gonna either be edited out or you don't do that pose.
Yeah, it's hard because like that's the fight of like, well, what should we as photographers be doing? And like, I mean, I'll take wrinkles out. I'm sure Sarah's taken her fair share of wrinkles out as well.
Yeah, it sucks, but you gotta do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like, man, that shouldn't be like, it really shouldn't be something we should have to do. Like, really shouldn't. So, I
mean, when you go to a con, every hotel room has an iron.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's something that the photographer could and maybe should do, but also I don't fault a photographer for not doing that because it's incredibly tedious and like, man, that's on the cosplayer. Like, if you didn't iron your shit, like, don't expect the photographer to iron your cosplay for you.
Yeah,
we do it because we want to get a good photo, but but man, like, it sucks to do. So PSA to cosplayers: iron your shit. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to the next one?
No.
Nope. All good.
Okay. So this next one is going to be by Kai or YGK Photos. Pull it up full screen for everyone to get a bit better look at while we pull it up on our own screens. And
I'm gonna reload mine. It's like they're like all the next photos are all pixelated for some reason. Like it's not loading. So let me do that.
Yeah.
Oh. Scared.
Mallow. My biggest critique is everyone should only be cosplaying Breath of the Wild.
Not wrong! Not wrong!
Oh, here we go. Okay. There we go. I figured this out. Oops. Oh, yeah. Looking into their pores.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've delved into a thought that I had on this photo, which I think, like, gosh, this one's, I feel like it needs a bit more skin retouching. But, like, also, man, because of the sparkles she has on her face, this is going to be a hard skin retouch, because you want to keep those sparkles, but also want to retouch her
picture.
Yeah, and this would be a hard retouch, purely because the sparkles on her face, and you want to keep those. So I kind of get that.
I feel like there was a lot of... Maybe there wasn't. I don't...
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, did they do skin retouching? Because it looks like they didn't. Like,
no, I don't think there was any skin retouching to this.
Because that girl's got some great skin. Fuck.
I looking at it, I don't know. Maybe I think there's a little bit on the forehead that maybe was retouched, but I don't think like this was.
I think that's what confused me because the forehead looks like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like those
it just has perfect skin. I don't understand. Whatever.
Yeah. So the cheeks are, I think, where we're getting a little. We're jumping in the deep end, going on the retouching first.
We're on the deep end already, guys.
But I guess that's how we roll. We're getting that like strong kind of shine coming off of her cheek. And I feel like that just needs to be toned down a little bit, and kind of it's kind of creates a hard line with the shadow underneath her eye. If you could just soften that up, and this is like a prime case for using frequency separation.
Yep.
To kind of clean that up a little bit, and that would end up looking, I think, a lot cleaner.
Have we talked about frequency separation before?
I don't know. Have we talked about frequency separation?
No, but I think we should, because I don't feel like a lot of people know about it. I'm horrible at explaining it, but it is like one of the greatest ways.
So I can make an attempt to explain it. So frequencies, we did last time. Lol. Well, we'll do it again in case there's new viewers. We'll just do an abridged version.
We're gonna do it again.
So frequency separation is a way of separating out the texture and the color from a photo into separate layers, so that you can alter the colors without affecting the textures. So, like in this photo, for example, like that shadow and highlight on her viewer's left cheek. You could smooth that out using frequency separation on the color layer without hurting the texture that's there, because the texture she has on her face is actually really, really nice. And you don't want to hurt that. So, this tool allows you to, or if not tool, but more technique allows you to work on
process.
Yeah. On areas that normally would be very, very difficult to work on cleanly.
But it helps you retain. I remember this conversation now because we got onto it because someone's photo, their skin was retouched too much, and then we brought up frequency separation because frequency separation helps you retain skin texture. I remember now. It's all coming back to me.
Yeah. So. With that covered, I feel like let's talk about this image as a whole.
Let's do it.
I dig the lighting, and Kai submitted several photos, and I think I feel like, you know, lighting wise, there's been a kind of improvement along with each one he submitted. So I do think there's a very clear improvement. So props to you, Kai, for that. That's awesome.
It's awesome to see your improvement every time.
Yeah. The rim is really selling this photo. Like that rim light, especially like on the blue that's just subtly grazing on her jawline and on her neck is really lovely. I like that a lot. I think where this photo could use the most improvement is in the pose. The pose is a little confusing to me. Like, I just don't really know what's going on with it. Like, her face is like straight onto the camera, and her body is pointed to the right of the camera, and then her eyes are looking to the right of the camera, and like I'm just really confused by all of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of the pose too. It's just it's
we're losing her back arm completely. We just get a fuzzy stump where her shoulder is, and like we don't get her arm at all. So I think some like let's say you've worked your way up and you've gotten this pose, without like completely giving up on this pose, I think there's some things that you could do to quickly help it along. One, just have her make eye contact for this shot. I think eye contact would work really well for this one. Two, her arm, the arm that you can see, I think needs to be either closer to her body, so it's like kind of coming across by her chest, or it needs to be away. What we need is a line of where her back is underneath her arm. Like we have a teeny bit of negative space, but we either need more negative space, or I think that arm needs to come across her body and kind of make her body feel a bit more tighter, because her arm isn't taking up that visual space.
Because right now it's kind of like her body is like all one shape, but she's very clearly like bending in a way that's creating a lot of curve.
Yeah.
And we're missing that. I think that would have been really nice to see.
Mm-hmm. I also think that framing wise, I know why you did it this way. Her head is so close to the center of the frame, and I want her head higher up in the frame. I know why it was done this way, because you wanted to keep that entire Moogle poof ball in the frame. I get it. I totally get it. But at the same time, if there's anything that I would be okay with you clipping off the frame, I'd rather you clip some of the pom-pom off of the frame than her body. Like, I feel, and get like a bit more even framing. I love seeing all of us kind of just like move our heads and like adjust them side to side as we trying to figure out like
what? Like this is making it.
I hope this is really amusing for the viewers as we're just like staring with our heads sideways.
It's just the pose, because it's so unflattering, especially white is not flattering on anybody, because as being nitpicky, you can see when you do that to your body, you get rolls. So, and having that line of her shirt is emphasizing those rolls. So, like, what I usually do when I'm shooting cosplay, especially if they're in tight, you want to push your shoulders back and your butt out, so it makes you have proper posture, and it makes your body more straight. So when you do curve like that, you don't get rolls on your body.
Yep.
So I always try to tell cosplayers, butt out, shoulders up. And like it makes them more stiff, and they think they look so stupid. But in photos, it photographs so much better, because if you're slumped, like you're usually in like normal life, it's not flattering at all. So having the better posture.
I have a general saying: if it feels uncomfortable, oftentimes it actually looks really good.
Yeah.
I was about to say, working with Mark MH Photography, if you feel really. He was like, do you feel comfortable? No. Perfect. This looks great. And you're like, okay, great. Well, my body's literally broken in half, but it'll look great in the end. So it's all okay. Yeah. If your cosplayer is comfortable, probably not a good sign. Yeah. Am I comfortable in pose?
Last thing I want to say on this shot is to the viewer's right of her head, her hair kind of feels like it's just gotten a little bit out of control there.
Yeah.
Like the curly Q is fine, but like it's just taking up so much visual space. Like it's just like, and we've got this one like curl that's like
the blue
in the blue in the rim light that just feels real weird. Like the shape that it's making is real weird.
I was like, for a nitpicky thing for me, I would take that out, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would have taken out all of the.
I'm zooming in. I actually don't know if that weird shape is part of her hair.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think it's actually past. Let's zoom into it, Sarah, and tell me if you agree. I think it's actually past her hair. Because it looks, it's bokeh out more than any other part of her hair.
Oh yeah, because
I think it's something in the background that caught the catch light.
Because there is stuff like in the background. I was trying to figure out what it was.
What the background is. There you go.
Kai just commented. It's her other wing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I see it now. Ah!
I just realized she had wings.
Oh my God.
Whoopsie.
Well, regardless of what it is, I think taking it out, because it is distracting.
Yeah, if you don't know what it is, like, I can see it now that I know it's a wig, but before I knew that, like, I was just like, wow, her hair looks weird.
I know, I was like, that's a very pronounced, like, curly Q.
Yeah, especially in that position. Mallow was saying something in the chat about lifting the shadows. I'm gonna fully disagree with her here, and I think you need to darken the background on the left side of the image.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saying this is because like I don't know what is going on that wall, and all I want to know is what the hell is going on that wall. Like it looks like masquerade masks or something. I don't know. I have no clue, and I've spent so much time looking at this photo trying to figure out what this background is, and like I don't know. Are they goggles? Swim goggles, maybe? I don't know.
One of them looks like the prayer emoji hands. That's what I see.
Yeah, I can totally see that. But you see the one right above the prayer emoji that looks like Sailor V mask?
Stop.
Yeah, so like that background's just so weird that I just like you don't need to fully like just destroy it and take it fully to black, but I think you should like darken it a little, so I'm spending less time trying to guess.
Time being distracted. Says a weird wallpaper in the arcade. I was gonna ask if this was in an arcade, because I was like, only an arcade has some really
this is at Kai said this is at DaishoCon for everyone else in the world that's not from the Midwest. DaishoCon is Wisconsin's version, kind of Colossal Con. It's at the Kalahari that exists, that is in Wisconsin Dells.
Ew.
So yeah, that kind of arcade. Yeah.
Got it. See it now.
So, cool. Any further thoughts on this?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I will leave it at this, Kai. It's obvious from your submissions that your lighting is improving, so huge props on that.
Seriously.
Because, God, lighting is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's why I don't use lights, guys. I'm lazy as fuck.
Yeah, I use natural light. I use flash.
natural light probably 90% of the time, so like... Okay, this next one is gonna be by Kelvin.
This cosplayer looks fucking amazing. Just want to say that, like, her armor is beautiful.
So, when Kelvin submitted this, he had a specific comment that he had with this, and it'd be awesome if I remembered exactly what it was.
Wait, what?
Hold on. What?
I was like, how do you not remember? He told you.
God, you know what? I'm pulling it up, and it'll be word for word what it was. So you know what? The entire world will be happy. So what he said was, I struggle the most with compositions that aren't just closely framed portrait crops. This is my best attempt to incorporate more background elements so far, but it's not great. I especially don't like how the wig blends in with the blown out sky. Shot at Japanese steakhouse at Holiday Matsuri Marriott. Maybe could have asked the staff if I could close the doors. Any tips on how to better edit or choose a location would be appreciated. So
I have some comments on how to work with it with what he already has.
I do too. So I think when I read that, is that you're being way harder on yourself for this shot than I think you need to be.
This looks dope. Because
you're like on your way there, man. You're on your way.
It's not bad at all. Like, literally my only gripe is that she is not centered.
Oh yeah, that's gonna drive me fucking crazy, but like you're really close. Like move like, her just a teeny bit over. Then,
that's literally my only complaint. Well, okay, that's not my only complaint. Or like gripe, whatever. But like if she was just like moved over to the left like a little bit more, this would have been so epic. Because it looked like she's at like the grand entrance to her like family's like, you know, their castle or whatever it is in that game.
Yeah. Kai in the chat has said something that I want to echo because it's literally the entire thing that I've been thinking of with this photo.
I know.
Photoshop out the text and desaturate those reds a bit.
Yeah. Because they are competing with the model.
Oh, they're screaming right now. And especially that text. Like, that's such an easy Photoshop out. Like, right now I'm trying to read it and I'm like, yeah. So, point being is, I'm trying to read it. I don't want to read it. I don't want my eyes ever to go to the very top middle of the frame.
Yeah. I have to say that her expression is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like getting an expression out of a cosplayer can be like death. Like the same face syndrome happens probably more than 50% of.
Yeah.
It's like the time as me.
It's like can you just like have expression? Just smile a little bit.
And that is so hard to direct. Like man, you can't.
Usually I give like a scenario. I'm like, pretend you're the character in this game and you're getting ready for battle and you're just like ready to just kill everything. That's the face that she's giving. She's just ready.
It's a smirk. It is a definite smirk. Her smile is going up more on one side of her face than the other, and it works so well.
I have some nitpicky things with the pose though.
Yeah.
Well, not really the pose, more kind of like, okay, I wish the sword was facing us because that sword design is beautiful. And also, when you have it on the side like that, like, you just lose everything. Like, you know, I wish it was, like, flat, you know, like, parallel to us, not perpendicular. And then the other thing is, I know she has to wear flip-flops because you can't walk around a convention barefoot because it's disgusting. But I think for the photo, it would have been nice if she had taken them off. Because I know this character is barefoot for whatever reason. I would have liked that. I feel like a lot of my things are just for the pose and the costume. But yeah, sword facing us, straighter too, and no flip floppies.
Yeah. So to address the overall thought of like these wide shots and like. You thought, you know, Calvin, you were talking about how doors closed might be better. I don't know. I think doors closed, this picture might not be as nice. Because we're getting a really lovely, like on the floor, the bloom from the light behind her is really, really lovely. Like the way that floor is reacting to that light is really nice. I get that you're blown out a bit in the background, and that you're worried about the kind of blending in of her hair. I would go in and maybe just dodge and burn a little bit on her hair. Because, like, no other part of her hair is, like, it's not... Or no other part of her body feels like it's blending into that background. It is literally just the hair kind of like to the sides of her neck. Because like she also has the kind of at top of her head, she has that black piece that is defining the top of her head, so you don't have to fight that. So like literally just adding some contrast in that hair would work really well. And then maybe you could brighten the background right behind her a little bit and kind of like really lean into the overexposure in that background. But as Sarah's continuing to say in the chat, and I think what everyone's saying is like that red just like it's gotta go.
Yeah.
Interesting thought. The red. So right now, like squint my eyes, look at the image. The colors that I'm getting are because it's a rather monochrome image with like hints of color. We're getting green from those plants, blue from her cape, and red from those bars, which we got all our primary colors, which is a nice look, I think. I think, though, you could maybe try taking that red to like maybe a dark blue instead, and see how that would work with kind of matching her cosplay.
Yeah, that would look nice.
Other thoughts on those red bars? I think part of the reason why they scream so much, it's partly the saturation, but it's also partly the white that is in those bars. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of like creating like an outline of like, here's a red bar, hold on while I outline where that red bar is. So if you're feeling ambitious, you could maybe actually Photoshop the white part out of it as well, and that might kind of tone down how much those red bars are screaming.
Oh, I was gonna suggest something like super crazy.
Well, go for it.
Something I would have attempted is removing them altogether and duplicating like the wood paneling on.
I don't think it's more of a pain than my suggestion, but I wouldn't call it super crazy.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm just like, because like this image is lit so well, and it's like there is like a single panel on the left that you can easily duplicate and make the paneling pattern that it's set up to be doable. So that's something I would have tried. I mean, I don't know if it'll look good because sometimes it just looks like shit after you're done with it, but it's definitely something I would have like tried. I
mean, what I meant to say is, whoa, fucking Sarah, rein yourself in. Too crazy.
I know.
Getting
out of hand here, Sarah.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Just getting rid of it. Yeah, because I was like zooming in. I'm like, it looks like it can be done.
Totally.
But it would take a while. Take a while.
I would say if you're gonna do it, really, if you're tempted by this idea of doing it, really do a really sloppy job of it quickly.
Yes.
And then squint your eyes and then decide whether you feel that like looks promising or not. And if it does, commit to it, and if it doesn't, just laugh and move on. Because man, this is like, if you want to do it cleanly, it's gonna take a while,
but it could be worth it.
Yeah, but the worst thing that's gonna happen is if you spent like 45 minutes getting it perfect, and then you zoom out and then you sit for like a minute and then you're like, wow, I hate this.
Yeah, you're like, this is buttholes.
Yeah, no, because that'll happen. So like, just do a sloppy job of it quick, just to kind of give yourself like a visual idea of what this looks like.
Mm-hmm. I really want to see more photos of this set though.
Me too.
Like this cosplayer photographs so well.
Well, I'm gonna creep you right now on Facebook.
Like, it's so nice. I like in her armor too. I think with her pose though, because I'm used to like friends being in armor and they're so awkward. The leg is kind of bugging me because it's not straight at the camera. It's kind of off to the left. So if it was a bit more straight onto the camera, it wouldn't be as awkward. But that's just me.
Yeah, there's some subtle things. I think, like, for me, more than the pose, it's the centering of her that's driving me nuts. And I think the photographer thought that he probably was centered because like if you look at the line,
Yeah.
the line is cutting her in half by like where her legs are. But the problem is her torso is shifted off of that center line. So you probably like set this up and you're like, oh man, got it perfect. And then got home and we're like, damn it, I didn't. Okay, any other thoughts on this one?
Help, where's
I
the
feel
rest
like
of these photos? I don't see them on Facebook.
come on, Calvin, get on that shit.
What is this shit? Upload it.
Alright. So let's move on to the next shot from Kirby Elizabeth. Pull it up full screen for everybody. Well, we take a look and get it up on our screens. I can find where I put my own file. Man, I hate this because like my brain immediately goes to the most nitpicky thing and I'm like, why brain? Why are you like this?
Now I want to know what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys are gonna
You can't open that image and then not say it.
you guys are gonna
Yeah.
fucking laugh at me. But if you look at this shot, in the upper right, there's like someone's hair peeking into the frame.
No.
No! Andrew, why?
Oh, shit.
And I'm just
Kidding.
like, why, Brain? Why do you have to go to that? Why is that the thing?
My God.
Crop this image just like the fraction of the amount that you need to remove that, and you're good. You're golden.
Not fucking believe.
Okay, let's ignore that. Let's ignore that.
Oh,
So,
man, you just made her tell, man.
I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. I know. But like literally, that is the easiest fix. Like just grab your crop tool and just bleep, gone.
I think there's some, like on her, you see the black dot on the right side?
I think it's dirty. I think the lens is dirty.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
about to say.
Censored dirty or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that I'm kind of sad that was missed on this is the focus.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because her eyes are so bright, but they're not sharp.
I will say this. I think it's actually not a missed focus. I think it's a blurry shot.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Yeah,
looking
actually,
at the rest of the image, I think it's the
There's nothing
focus
on
was
it.
hit. I just think it was a bit blurry. So
Yeah.
you know, up the ISO just a little bit. Take this shot again. Nail focus. Cameras are getting so good that you know the ISO doesn't matter nearly as much. So
Nope.
I'd rather have it be a bit grainier than out of
Agreed.
focus.
Remember, grain is not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah.
No.
So I would love Kirby's like what spots. I'd love to be able to highlight these, but for whatever reason, my ability to share my screen's been wonky. I'm gonna see if it'll work now. Nope. Lol. But on her right,
Her shoulder.
on her shoulder, her left, viewer's right, there's like this weird, like almost like looks like an almost angry eye.
Stop! Oh my God!
That's what
And-
I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's like an edit and they accidentally moved it. Because like the dots are so
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah, it does look weird because there's another. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try something.
It
Weird.
looks like it was supposed to be part of
I
the
think
eye.
that's part of the eye retouch because there's another dot to the right of it. That.
Yeah.
Although no, that doesn't match up the
No,
angle, but
but
there's
it-
another dot.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, regardless, to our right, on the right shoulder, and then on the door, there's like these, like they're right across from each other.
Yeah.
They kind of look like dust spots or something.
Yeah, they could be dust spots as well. No. We're not talking about the birthmark on her arm. This is definitely not a birthmark on her arm.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Anyway.
It's a nitpicky detail. We're gonna move on from it anyways. So it's not super important to the image. Like if you're zoomed out,
I'm gonna screenshot this. There's gonna be the screenshot sound. I'm gonna post it.
That you know, by her hand, by her head, that little square from the floor, I would have photoshopped that out because it's all I'm staring at. Because it's like dark. I would have photoshopped that out. Because that line is fine. On the other long one is fine because it's the floor, but that one because it's dark on that one side.
I am going to pull back. I think we went too into nitpicky town right off the bat. Which I mean, I suppose that's on brand for these critiques by now. But I want to go and kind of the picture as a whole. I think it's a solid start. And I think that like some minor tweaks to this gets you to a much more solid image. Like actually, we talked about this earlier on a previous image about Dutch angles, and this is actually a shot that the Dutch angle does not bother me even slightly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this is a shot where the Dutch angle works.
Yeah.
However, there are other things, specifically posing, where I think this shot is, and maybe actually we're gonna get maybe a bit more technical, is lens selection for this shot. I don't know what lenses people have, but is maybe a bit more in depth than we normally go. So right now, with this shot, this was shot with, I couldn't tell you what the lens is, but we're getting kind of a wider field of view. And with how this shot's framed, we're getting the point of her elbow feels like it reaches out so far from her body. And it goes out in a straight line, and with that kind of wider lens, it elongates that, and it really emphasizes how far that's coming off her body. I would love for her elbow to be a bit more in. So you're gonna bend at her shoulder, so it's not just a straight line coming off of her shoulder. And then I think that would kind of compress the space that she's taking up and make it feel a little more natural. I also think this is another one. I like her expression.
Yeah.
So we're coming off of a photo with a good expression and right into another photo with a good expression, which is awesome. But I kind of want her head just turned a little bit more towards me. It feels a bit too far off with the way her like nose and chin are pointing.
Mm-hmm.
You think we would lose her neck though if that were to happen?
Potentially.
Yeah.
So we're
already missing a lot of it right now.
I think the reason why you feel like we're losing a lot of her neck is because the cosplay's got the has that kind of neck collar that's hiding a lot of her neck. So I think actually a fair amount of her neck is showing. We're just not seeing her neck. So but some minor changes into the pose I think could help. And I think Mallow was talking about this earlier, which is the eye retouch. It's not it's not terrible. Like, I don't look at this and go, holy shit, that eye retouch makes them look like they are about to shoot lasers at me. But it does feel a bit strong. The whites are a bit too white. And kind of the I feel like the saturation levels were taken a bit too far. It's a fine line to walk with eye retouching, because it's so easy to tip that scale into too far territory. And I think we're pretty close to where it would look natural. Like, literally, I feel like this one, though, all you need to do is open up the original and, like, overlay that and, like, lower the opacity down to, like, 50%, and I think that eye retouch would feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys use in Lightroom the lens correction thing.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Like,
I do.
I feel like if they used it, the elbow wouldn't feel so extended. Like, I feel like it would correct itself. Kind of.
Maybe, but I think that's relying on a I don't even know, because that's usually just fixing, like, barrel distortion, or what's the other one? Pinhole distortion? Is that it? Whatever. Yeah. So Kirby says, I was going for more of a color pop with the lips and the gloves in this case. I usually don't go for as hard of an eye retouch. I totally agree with that. Here's my suggestion if you want to do that. Instead of, like, increase the saturation there. Yeah, cool. Decrease the saturation in your background. I think that helps kind of pop those reds more than actually upping the saturation of the reds.
Well, I think for me, I think the white's just a little too much. I don't know if you saw my comment, but
I mean,
I think she's to the eyes.
Mm-hmm. No, totally agree with the eyes. I think, yeah. But as she had mentioned, the color pop with the lips and the gloves as well. But, like, for this shot, when I had met with the lenses, like, if this is a zoom lens, back up just a little bit, and then even if you want to keep this framing really close to the same, back up a little bit and then zoom in a little bit. You're going to get less of that distortion by being zoomed in. Any other thoughts on this one? You're ready to move on to the next shot?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Cool. The next one is going to be Leon's shot, or LCAM photography.
Our boy LCAM photography. Another frequent submitter. I love it.
Yeah, we're getting out to the point where we have a lot of regular submitters, and it's actually really awesome.
I love seeing the improvement.
Oh, wow.
I live for this foreground bokeh, just saying.
Yeah, I do too. It's so funny because it's to the point where, like, Allison makes fun of me that whenever I'm shooting, because I'm always trying to get foreground bokeh in my shots, and she's just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing with all that foreground bokeh? You just need to have it, don't you?" I'm like, I do need to have the foreground bokeh.
Oh, someone's taking a picky.
Oh, man. Only you can see that, by the way. The stream can't, because I got that full screen. It's a sneak peek, everyone. To the behind the scenes.
I love these colors.
All right. So, Sarah, I feel like you're digging this one, so why don't you just jump into the meat of this one?
So the thing I really liked is I don't really know how to explain this other than I've noticed it's a color grading style in Asia And it's like these like, it's gonna make no sense, but it's like the really saturated like pastel colors, and the shadows are brought out a lot, so there aren't a lot of like extreme darks. I really don't know how to explain it, but it's like that kind of coloring that I don't see a lot of photographers over here do. So like when I saw this, I was like really excited.
I want to know how to do it, to be totally honest.
Me too. Someone teach. Yo, Leon, teach us.
Yeah, we want to know.
Tell me your secrets. I've tried editing like this, and I just don't get it. I'm just like, my brain just doesn't understand, because I love the feel and how soft everything feels. Like, it just feels so storybooky, and like, anyway, I'm like oogling over the colors in your freaking foreground foliage, and the greens are great. I like how they're like more of a blue green. I
do wonder if there's like a part of how this is achieved, and I don't like. I've attempted to do stuff like this, and I've like always been like, wow, this looks like ass when I try it. Is those, like, if you look at the blacks in the photo, they're all really lifted, except like on her face.
Exactly.
They're not nearly as lifted on her face. And every time I try that, it looks like about just a pile of shit. And then I'm like, well,
I thought it looks, it looks flat.
So, yeah, I really want to know how you're editing this, Leon. We just need to bring you on for a session just to figure out how you're editing like this.
I'm gonna bring on the nitpicky to counteract all the nice things I just said. But these are, whatever. Okay, 1, cosplay is wrinkly. We've talked about this. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I feel like some of the shadows in her face were lost. I think there could be some like dodging and burning, or mostly burning to her face. Because right now there's not a lot of definition to her nose. And that feels very, I don't know. It needs more definition. It just feels like something's missing there for me, because everything else is like so well defined. But then you get to like the central part of her face, and just a lot of that detail is lost. So I wish some of that was brought back out a bit. And this is like really small, but there's like this wig hair on her left eye, our right, that's going like through her eye, or like down to the middle of her eye, and I wish that was chopped out. Other than that, your skin retouching is great as usual. I mean,
I almost think it's a bit too much in this image. I feel like
that's why I'm wondering if there's no shadows.
Yeah, I think we're starting to like, the skin's been softened a bit too much. And we're starting to lose that texture. And it's not like, there's still texture. It's not like you zoom in and it's like, oh, Barbie doll. But
right.
There's still texture. I think almost like, even if you had just gone in and like for frequency separation and then duplicated the high frequency layer, and then just brush, so there's 2 high frequency layers, and then use a mask to just like brush on and then play with opacity, just so you're strengthening the texture that's there just a little bit there, because the texture is there, like it's and the retouch is solid, but like, just because like that it's so soft on her face, you're just kind of losing all of it, especially from like Facebook distances. If you post this to Facebook with Facebook compression, she ain't gonna have no texture. But that's just Facebook. That's just Facebook. Hell, on the stream she probably has no texture either, because it's probably compressing this a ton.
I don't know, but the first thing I noticed that there's something. I think they forgot to fix something. Our right, her loop, I feel like they forgot to edit out some of the ribbon because it's like doubled. So I thought it was the line in the background.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
Yeah,
like
it was
it's
like
some sort of like it's a composite or something.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. I totally wouldn't have noticed that if you hadn't mentioned it. So welcome to the nitpick crew. Bravo.
Bravo.
It's just because that line matches the same color.
Totally. I noticed it actually on her you see a bit of it on the top. I gotta say, ring of her hair. There's like a bit of that weird opacity going on, which makes me think that this is a composite, which I don't get. Like I don't know what would have been composited for this shot.
Maybe wig hair or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really want to know what this was shot with, though. Like what camera they used.
Yeah, it's probably, well, I was going to say, let's see if this information is stored in the file. Let's see if we're that lucky.
That data's still there.
Leon Cam, properties, details. It was a Canon EOS Rebel T5i, 35 millimeter at 1.4. So for full frame, essentially, like 50 millimeter, probably at like 2.8 for depth of field comparison.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks great. Like overall, just
like I thought this was going to be Sony for some reason, like because like it has that feel to it because so many photographers are switching to Sony. Yeah, and they're so sharp.
Yeah. So Leon, you just joined the chat. What we're specifically looking at is like the ribbon on the top right of viewer's right of her head, and like the bow or ring of her hair. There's like some weird like ghosting that's happening, and we're trying to figure out what that was coming from. And Mallow, we know it's not the camera, but there are certain starting points like just how a camera renders colors can affect where you take a photo, and I feel like Sony has a very different way of rendering colors that kind of ends up with a different result than Canon. Like Canon has super strong reds, so like it's easy to take it in that area, and then like Nikon's tend to push more towards magenta. I believe if I'm remembering correctly. I don't shoot Nikon, so I'm not fully sure. All I can tell you is that Canons normally pump the red up to like 5 million, but yeah, it's an awesome shot.
Yeah.
Teach us how to do things, please.
Yeah, seriously, this is so pretty.
Yeah, really intrigued by the overall like soft. When I take an image this soft in terms of editing, I can't keep the kind of depth on her face.
Me either. It's like shit.
Yeah, Kai's probably right. It's screencast on Nikon. Sorry, I screwed up.
Oh, I'm stalking him on Instagram, and his photos are so nice.
Ooh, okay, I want to stalk.
Sorry.
We're in the middle of shit, guys. Come on. Okay, we'll stalk Leon later.
It's funny. Oh, there he is.
Okay, Leon, we're gonna harass you for information later. Yes.
Oops, follow.
Okay, so this next photo we're gonna move on to is by Mary Jo. The sound of thinking. Full screen for everyone. I'd love to know also from the viewer's perspective. Like I put these full screen images together, and like is it that much? Does it affect that much in terms of like viewing on this, or should I also? And this would require me getting kind of approval from the photographers that I I'd put these on like Flickr as well, so that you can see these in full quality, because that's kind of one thing I was wondering, because like when you're looking at this, you're looking at all these photos compressed via video. So just some food for thought for like future. I'd love to get people's feedback on that. Okay. Anyone want to jump in, or should I start things off?
I'll start. For one, I like the pose a lot. The pose works because I shoot all body types. I find that shooting all body types helps with posing a lot, because then you know how to pose anybody and you won't have any issues. And of course, she is a bit of a bigger cosplayer, so sometimes a lot of people find that difficult, because I find bigger cosplayers don't know how to pose and feel confident, and especially with I'm pretty sure, isn't it based off of that, what's her name, the I Can Do It poster?
Rosie the Riveter, I'd imagine.
Yeah. The one thing that I like about it is the pose, but I wish there was more, because where it's cut off is kind of, you try not to cut off at joints, and it's almost at that point where it shouldn't be cut off, where her hips are starting, or her waist. Yeah, her hips. So if it was just a bit more of her, even like if it was vertical and more of the car and shot a bit lower, even though a lot of people don't like to be shot from below, I find it works at sometimes, because you kind of want to see more of the car.
Yeah.
And the cosplayer. Because I get what they're trying to go for, but
I think the shot needs to be wider.
Yeah, the composition is too tight.
Also, I think it's hard. I assume this was probably long. I'd prefer less of the car. We know about you, Mr. 85 millimeter. I know why she's posed facing the right of the frame like this, because I'm assuming this is not lit with the strobe or anything. This is just the natural light of the area, and if she's facing the other direction, the lighting is probably going to look like garbage. But because of that, I think you need to reframe this shot, because she's facing to the right, in the right of the image, which just kind of feels at odds with it. You'd want her, if she's facing towards the right, unless there's a strong reason to have her in the right as well, you'd want to have her on the left of the image. So like, I think if you pulled out, walked over to the left a little bit, so you're a bit more straight onto the car, and then have her in the left of the frame, you're probably going to have a bit better of a composition. And I've never, someone made a comment that this was at Youmacon. I've never been to Youmacon, so I don't know what this area looks like. So
yeah, same.
I want to comment on the color grading of this. I feel like it could really benefit from the balancing of the colors, like even just like a white balance. I don't know. For me, it feels like it was like, it almost looks raw to me, and I don't mean that like, I'm not trying to be like rude or anything, but like I always find really hard, like if you're shooting in a convention, you like really don't want to make it look like you shot in a convention, and so something I like to do is to like really play around with the colors a lot to like give it a different feel. I just feel like this could benefit from that. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not saying this very well at all.
Yeah, you're fine. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah. I think where this comes in is she's getting that very warm color on her from whatever lights are in that area, and then the background's got that kind of cool teal color.
Like cool thing going on, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you just need to adjust those so maybe they feel a bit more even, and then play around with the colors more. Like, you've got that awesome teal in the background. I think lean into that.
Right? You could play up with that so much.
Most nitpicky thing in the world that you can't control and would be a pain to edit, but I'd probably do, is the hood of this car looks really dirty, and there's like some reflections that you could clean up, and then there's like a bunch of smudges on the hood from where people put their hands, and I would also probably hate myself, but I would clean those up.
Cars are so hard to photograph because they're so reflective.
Yeah. Man, and this is just a comment on not necessarily the photo itself, but the watermark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this is
up next.
So there's two thoughts that I have on watermarks. One, you have to figure out what is your intent with watermarking this image. Are you preventing someone from stealing this image, or are you just trying to maintain your credits with this image? Or are you trying to like show this as a proof to a client so they can't use it? So I don't know what the intent is. I assume it's not this is a proof to a client. I don't want you to be able to print from this photo, so I'm putting big, bold watermark on this. If that's the case, though, I think that's fine for this. But if your purpose is to be like, to call out, you know, like, hey, this image is mine, or, you know, I would go and put it to the side, but then use it in a manner that's less distracting to the overall image. Like, I get why you're putting it here. You kind of, like, you're putting it in an area where it's going to be, like, super hard to Photoshop out. But, like, this isn't supposed to be rude. I don't think the chances of your image getting stolen is pretty low. And I think the chances that someone's going to go through the effort, even if you put it in like the corner of an image in a far more subtle way, that someone's going to go through the effort when stealing to like spend the time photoshopping it out is also low. I think they're more likely with this image, if someone were to steal this image, they're going to crop your watermark out. Like just completely. They're gonna go. So my thought with it is try to build your watermark in more subtly, so that it just feels a bit more natural. And like my eyes really go to this watermark. So like I'm getting a lot of comments in the chat of you know, watermarks. You know, they're using watermarks from distracting from the image. I agree. I get that, but also for me, I've built a watermark that fits in with my brand. It matches my business cards like to a T. If you've seen my business cards, I've got these long square ones, and like I want them to feel like a graphic design element, and less of, you know, not. I don't want them to really be distracting from the image, but I kind of want to have them as like a cool branding mark that kind of almost, in a weird way, adds to the image in some respect. So like, I don't think like watermarks are an evil thing. That's not what I was trying to say with this, and that we should, you know, not use watermarks anymore because they're terrible. But just, I think really subtlety is key, and building something that's aesthetically pleasing is really important. I'm done with my spiel on watermarks.
What?
I'm done with my spiel on watermarks.
Well, I was going to say, like, my watermark has started, like, a different purpose now. Like, mine used to be solely just, like, when I was starting, I wanted my name on there. But now I've used it as a way to show who I'm collaborating with, too. But I make it so small and whatever, like, any person with a brain who has Photoshop could easily Photoshop it out. But, I mean, whatever.
Same.
It's the internet. Who gives a shit?
I'm curious, just to ask, when was the last time any of you guys had your image stolen?
It was on Instagram. It was pretty recent. Like, I don't say it was a couple months ago. It was like one of those random accounts who like repost your images without asking, and then they don't credit you at all. And they actually gave me the wrong credit. They said I was the cosplayer and I wasn't the photographer, but I was the photographer, and I railed on them about it. And then they blocked me and like didn't change the information apparently, according to the cosplayer. So I mean, I'm just like, whatever. I mean, it happens, but I'm just like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because like, while we're having our little rant on this, I'll switch to the screen. I've only had mine stolen like a handful of times. More, it's like almost more like social media wise. It's just like annoyance at the fact that we can't like easily get a photo taken down.
Yeah.
Like actually like flat out stolen unless like reposted by a different social media account. Like I get that that's stealing, but it feels like a different level of stealing. Like I had my one piece of my photo taken and used in a piece of art that they didn't credit me on, and I was just like, what the fuck? Yeah. I was just like, okay, and they tried to claim it wasn't my photo. That was a funny incident because I was just like, you're crazy. But
my thing also was like, it's on the internet, it's so low quality, like what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah. But that comes down to people are gonna try and steal your shit no matter what. Like
yeah,
it's literally nothing to get mad about. I'm like, whatever. You are like one human.
Megan comments, I get my pictures stolen all the time. Literally zero surprise there, Megan. Oh my god. I'm sure Megan pumps out more photos than anyone.
The only thing that bugs me, I've had a couple cosplayers do the whole cropping and put a Instagram filter on top of my photos.
Oh,
and their excuse is, oh, I didn't. No, I didn't. And then you look at the photo and then you look at theirs and there's complete difference.
I'm actually okay with cropping of my photos because I'm like, whatever.
Okay, that's fine.
But the Instagram filters, I'm like, no, I spent like an hour fucking color grading this.
And
I actually went on like a Twitter rant yesterday. It was yesterday because someone posted like, do not edit other photographers' photos without their permission or whatever. And I was like, this. And I was like, yes. Doing some kind of like beauty cam filter or Instagram filter, like, yeah, maybe you're not like adjusting the curve like manually, but you're still editing something that was worked on for hours. So like, please, cosplayers, if you're given a photo, do not edit it yourself without asking, because honestly, more times than not, if you don't like the edit, which clearly you don't because you're editing it again, just tell us and we'll re-edit it. It's so easy.
So there's a thing I don't know if it's for you guys, but in Toronto, like where I'm from, I feel like there's a stigma on asking photographers to redo something.
Just fucking ask.
Yeah,
it's
like
not,
I'm fine with
you. It's not just you.
I think that's just overall everywhere.
It's really big here though. Like a lot of cosplayers have come to me and said that they wouldn't get help anyway. So I'm fine with them being like, if you do not like something, I always say up front. After the shoot, I say, if you do not like something, tell me. I don't want you to beat around the bush. Tell me. You are paying me. You are the boss. I'm working for you. They are in charge. And, well, of course, we have some creative outlook to it, but we're working for them. They're paying us.
Wow.
So it's like, you should tell us what you want from these photos. Like, just don't put, the Instagram thing hurts me so much.
I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to communication. Like the whole, like saying that you like, I don't want to bother you or annoy you. Like that's not an excuse. Like the worst case scenario is you ask us, like you send us a direct message and we don't respond. Okay, and then you're like, fine, then I guess I can't do it. But like, don't be afraid. Like, like don't be afraid to speak up. Like we're not And if you've had instances where photographers are like on this really freaking high pedestal and they have a stick up their butt, then I'm sorry. Like, we're not all like that. So I would say it's safer to always say something. Just whatever. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
Nope.
No, totally. The one thing I just want to mention, because it commented, Mitch commented in the chat that he found one of his shots on Amazon printed on a phone case.
Did you buy
it? Which is just ridiculous. I would be so livid.
I would have.
I'd be just out of my mind.
I've had a bunch of my photos on Taobao, like a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Digirin's Ruby is always on there.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't shock me in a very sad way, because I mean, that's so much of that stuff is just stolen.
It's China.
Yeah. I don't really care.
It's almost that you just kind of have to be like, well, shit. You there's nothing you can do about that either, because
no,
just the Instagram thing.
Eric.
Anyway, let's move on.
One last thing before we get too off. No. This is a response to a comment. Eric questioned if his photo, quote unquote, made it. Maybe I'm stupid and totally lost the photo that you submitted, but I don't have your photo for this critique. But just going over all the photos in general, I think so far every photo that's been submitted, well, maybe if I missed Eric's, it's I missed one, but we try to cover all of the photos that are submitted. So it's not like as of this very moment, we are not getting enough submissions that we can't go over all of the critiqued photos. So I just wanted to mention that, because like if you submit a photo, we will almost certainly cover it at this point. There might reach a time where we're getting too many submissions and we can't cover all the photos, but as of right now, that's cool. So thanks for joining us for a little rant intermission. Let's continue back on with this photo from Megan.
Roxy, go. Sorry.
I have a lot of feels. Is that a doggo?
Yeah, she was drinking water.
I don't want to see.
She ran downstairs.
No, come back.
Let's just derail this even further.
I love doggos.
Okay. So yeah, Ustav, we have yours. So for those people who know Megan, this photo was taken by Megan and edited by Megan and of Megan, because Megan's ridiculous. So given that, like, there's a lot that potentially is nitpicky in this shot in terms of posing, that I feel like you almost have to like minorly forgive, because of you don't know what you're really taking a picture of. Megan, I have no friends in Florida. What do you expect? I'd say come to the Midwest, Megan, but you'd freeze. And and while I want to get off topic again real quick, because I'm terrible at this. For the submission form, if you get the something went wrong dialogue that pops up, if you've submitted a photo before, and it should have created, like, that with that first submission, it creates a login for you. So if you submit again, make sure that you log in to submit. And then if it doesn't work, feel free to message me on Facebook, like just message my Vontography page and I will make sure that it gets in that way. I'm sorry that it's a little clunky. I wish it were a little bit better, but this is the best system that I can come up with right now. So back onto Megan's photo. And then we lost Sarah completely. Oh, man. Sarah didn't want to talk about Megan. She's like, I'm out of here. I'm gone.
She's offended.
So I'll jump into this photo. Overall, I really like the soft feel of it. I wish it were a bit wider though.
Yeah. Feels too tight.
Yeah, I feel like I want to see, like, it cut the bottom of the frame cuts off right at her dress. And I want to see it just go a little bit further. Oh no.
Oh shit.
Do we lose your
shit.
video?
What happened?
Oh, we're back.
There we go.
We're back. Cool.
What?
Wait, what happened? I didn't see it.
Video dropped out for Alex, but it's back, so we're good. I blame Skype. Skype's garbage, guys. But it's the best thing I can figure out how to use at the moment. So, yeah. So I'd like to see it like a little bit wider, so we're getting a little bit more of the lower bits of her body, and then a bit more of the flag as well. I also, gosh, it's gonna drive me crazy, and it's driving people in the chats crazy as well. That kind of weird headdress piece is covering up her
eye.
Right eye.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Yeah. Man, like, even though she's kind of like looking down and has her eyes closed, like, eyes are so important to photos.
Yeah, even when they're closed.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that if almost all the time, if you have eyes in a photo, the eyes are the most important part of that photo.
Agreed.
I don't know. It's probably just this weird like inherent like human physical connection that our brain has wired up in a weird way that has made eyes so important. But yeah, I believe if you're showing eyes in a photo, you want to see them. So that's like the major problem, and it's especially I know why this was so hard, because if you're shooting self-portrait for this, you don't really know if that's covering up your eye in the photo. You know, you're like looking down and off, and you know she probably has like the remote for the camera in one hand and is just like, click, hope that worked. So yeah, that was the area that biggest areas that I would change.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about Fate.
Me either.
But
same.
But the pose is actually a little confusing to me. Like, because I think this is like gene alter or something. I don't know. I'm making this shit up as I go. But I feel like usually when I see photos of her, she looks like very stoic. And I get the I really love the serene look on Megan's face, but I don't understand like her whole body pose. Like, she's standing and she's holding the flag, but her eyes are closed. So I guess those two things for me don't really make any sense. And it's not like it doesn't look like a moment was captured where she was like the moment of her eyes closing was being captured, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't, again, I'm not making like any sense tonight, but the standing and the closing the eyes doesn't, I don't know, my brain just doesn't quite understand it, but also I don't know anything about Fate, so that might have something to do with it. And then the nitpicky things, Megan, I know you said you only know how to change color of eyes, but you should learn the healing patch tool or that Band-Aid, whatever that's called.
Healing brush tool or clone stamp tool. Or spot
Yeah,
heel teal. One of those three.
These flyaways on this wig are actually pretty easy to remove in this photo.
Yeah, you could patch them out real easy.
So easily. Like, you are set up for success right now.
I've shot this like a cosplayer like this before. It was just like the blue outfit. So I know what you mean with the pose, because like when I shot the cosplayer that was in this outfit, I mean, she was on a horse, but it was more, it seemed like she was more powerful. In this one, she looks so dainty. I feel like she needs to be like more static with the pose, if that makes sense. Like
yes, that's what I was trying to say. Like, there's
yeah.
I feel like there's not intention with standing there and having your eyes closed, but your flag is like the pose looks like you're ready to like go into battle, but because her eyes are closed, I'm kind of like,
yeah, and her chin in like that. It just makes her look.
Yeah, like the pose is really beautiful, but I don't think it matches like the scenario.
Yeah, I also have the arm that's coming across her torso, I think, is covering up a lot of the kind of curve of her torso. And I'd love to see more of that torso. So like having her arm pull out a little bit so we could get a little bit of negative space so we can see where that line continues, I think would be really nice. So I think for that, what you do is have to pull that flag pull in so that the flag's a bit more up, and I think that would just work a lot better as well.
The bottom right of the photo, you see a bit of the lace of the costume in her leg, and it makes me want to see more of that detail, because it's that little bit there, and it's like, oh, I want to see more. Like, is there more?
It's funny. In the chat, there's like talk about like all like the Fate character and whether that's relevant. We don't know shit about Fate. Let's just be clear. So
I don't know most about most of the shit I shoot. I just Google image it and be like, okay, this pose looks nice.
Yeah, so like shrugs into infinity. I don't know. I just wanted to be clear.
It's confirmed, but like the Christmas version.
Yeah.
Christmas in Florida.
Yeah, Megan says that this version of Jean Alter is like softer, but I think just to go back to what Alex was saying, like the pose just feels static.
Yeah.
Well, because Megan, your poses usually so like they make a lot of sense and they work and they look, and just everything just works. But then here I'm kind of like a little confused. So I'm just being hard on you because usually it's awesome.
I also want to say that I enjoy the colors of the image. I think bring to the softness of the shot. There's like a little bit of like, and I think it's like a bit of like sun flare. I'm assuming because I'm that's actual flare and not editing because Megan doesn't really edit.
Florida, kidding.
But like there's a bit of like some warm tones above her head mixed in with those cool tones, and I think it makes like a really nice like overall look. Like it provides a bit of depth to that color. And I think it's nice.
I love muted tones. I love him.
Any other thoughts for Megan before we move on to the next photo?
No.
Good job, Megan.
Megan, you're finding out a way to replace all us photographers.
Finger guns for you.
Good job. Alright, so this next shot we're going to be moving on to is Sarah's.
Me! Just kidding.
No, different Sarah. Damn it, Sarah. Da, da. So, anyone?
Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Yeah, I know that we're getting. I feel like we've got a nice flow of comments this time, and
Yeah,
it's awesome,
I'm just, like,
but
trying to
also
catch
really distracting, and I kind of love it, but also hate it.
I like it. I like talking to you guys.
Yeah, no, we love it when you're live in the comments. It definitely makes this whole.
If there's an awkward pause, it's because I'm reading.
Yeah, it definitely makes this whole thing more dynamic.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming this is from PE5.
Yeah, I mean.
Yes, PE5.
I think.
Yeah. What I will say on this is, it's always hard because like, is the sign to me is totally throwing me off with this image. I feel like it works in context of like convention setting really well, but I'm not sure if I enjoy it in terms of like a cosplay shoot. Cause like it kind of pulls me out of the shoot. Like it makes me feel like this is probably taken at a con. Like this cosplayer had the prop. They really wanted their prop in the photo because they've been carrying it around at the con all the time, and you know the text box element is really cool in Persona 5, but like, man, I just see like I hate to say this, it's not done well enough. It's got like these cardboard folds and it just reads to me like, hey, I'm holding up a sign, and it's not nearly as cool as I wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's like I feel like cleaning up the sign would help a little bit. Because those lines are real, those bends and stuff, like you can take those out like really easily, I think.
Yeah. I think to me what this is communicating is not like the sign kind of takes it out of a type of photo that I'd say is words, where it's trying to be more artistic and more just trying to be like funny and fun, which isn't a bad thing, but it's I think a harder type of photo to critique.
Yeah, this image is. I'm conflicted.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about, I think, because like the sign dictates a specific tone that is very different than what we normally all talk about. But I agree with Sarah. Like, once again, probably not the thing that photographers. It should not be expected for a photographer to fix up certain aspects of a cosplay, but if you can do it,
yeah.
Is taking out those folds in the cardboard would make that sign look a lot better.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that doesn't help is that the way that it's tilted, it's like if I was there, I would have told him to hold it at a different angle so it's not catching all those highlights.
Yeah.
So the sign would feel more of like a true black, like his outfit. I think that would help too, because I mean those text, that's part of the appeal of the new P5 game is the graphic elements for it. And so I think if this prop was more graphic feeling, like flat, that would help too. That's just me.
Agree. Go ahead.
I think the one thing other than the sign, the mask, it's too, like, I feel like the eye holes are not big enough because they're cutting into his eyes.
Yeah, I wonder if it could be lowered a bit.
Yeah, or like shifted up.
Have his head. His head is a bit too high.
The lower angle probably did not help that fact either.
Yeah.
And and his shirt looks like it is riding up. So I would have told him to bring down his shirt more.
Yeah. I think maybe like given the same scenario, like maybe go up on the stairs and try and shoot top down instead of down up, then might work a little bit. That honestly, that lower angle upwards is a very hard angle to make work anyways, because most people don't look flattering when sorry, when you're shooting upwards and their like head is going to be smaller than their waist because of kind of it's falling off because their head is further away. You get that bit of that distortion, and you kind of seeing more of like, you know, underneath their chin and that kind of stuff cannot be as flattering. So versus like that higher up angle, you know, MySpace, throwing it back to MySpace, can look pretty flattering.
Yeah. And I like the location, like it's grungy.
That wall is
Perfect.
real nice. I really like
the
that wall.
textures. Oh. Maybe if he was like leaning against the wall.
Well, that would be nice.
And shot from across the bars would have been nicer, and then they wouldn't get that highlight on the cardboard, and he would pop more.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Because the cardboard in front of the stairs there is just like it's making me lead into the bottom right corner. I feel like that should have been blacked out because I see this like text. I'm like trying to read it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think like just purely having him against that wall could be really cool too. Like. That wall's got so much texture, I don't think you need much else besides that for it to be a strong image.
And like on the stairs, the cardboard is creating a shadow, and it's like all these shadows. And I feel like if he was against that wall, you wouldn't get so many distracting elements, and you just be focused on him.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to the next one?
No.
Cool. Let's go on to this next one from Skylar Hicks. Screen that. Man. I'm like
I have a lot of nitpicky things.
My first nitpick is I hate Nekopara. That game disturbs me on so many levels, but that's neither here nor there.
I've shot it before not knowing what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cute if you know nothing, and you're like, cute cat maids, I guess, and then, woo, buddy. Yeah, we'll just ignore the rest of that. So, yeah, it's hard because like I feel like this image has this. It's not bad, but I feel like it misses like in several small areas to the point where it kind of reduces it enough that it's not. It could be a much stronger image with a few small fixes, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Just stumbling over my words at this point.
Yeah, that's why all my things are nitpicky, because I feel like the lighting's really nice. I really dig like the all white background thing, so like the model really pops, but like I feel like this is another blurry photo, so not missed focus, just as I'm scanning through it.
I think this is missed focus, Sarah.
Is it? Where do you see?
I mean, look on her chest. You can see how much sharper the skin texture on her chest is versus.
Oh
yeah.
It's. I mean.
Well, regardless, it's not sharp. I mean, like her face is not in focus. It's basically.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
Yeah. It's the eyes. It's those eyes that aren't in focus.
Yeah.
It comes down to.
back to the wrinkly thing. So in this case, the cosplay looks great, but the bed sheets are so wrinkly.
Yeah.
I wish that had been like ironed or steamed or something before she sat down. Like obviously there's gonna be wrinkles from the person sitting, like that's natural, but like especially on the left side, her right, there's just like so you those are just wrinkles from being bundled up in like the laundry or something.
Yeah.
So I wish the bed sheet had been ironed or something before it was shot.
Yeah, I think this is a image that just would benefit so much from just like a major like just highlight boost and just like playing into this high key look.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Like just take it super soft and bright.
Because it's almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I almost don't even want to be able to see any details in that wall.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think what I want to delve into now is posing and lighting. So posing, you're chopping off her feet, which is a no for this kind of pose.
Yep.
We definitely want to see her feet. I think what you want her feet to be close to the bottom left of the frame, but then really emphasize this kind of Z movement in her body. So, you know, her it's gonna come up to her knees. It's gonna go to the right, then go to her like her waist. It's going to be off to the left, and then her chest is going to be off to the right again. So it's gonna have a nice dynamic shape. You're like really close, but I think your camera position kind of hurts that. I also want her. The lighting is actually really lovely, but it's not coming onto her face as well as it nearly could be. It's kind of like lighting her bottom right of her jaw and the side of her nose, where like I would turn her so that it's going to be falling more directly on her face. And if you're gonna have her looking any direction, have her looking towards the light, not away from it. I always feel weird with shots, especially ones like this, where, you know, the settings, for lack of a better word at the moment, intimate, and her face is pointed towards the camera, but then her eyes are like away, like put yourself in that situation where your like face is forward and then your eyes are off to the side like that far. They're really glancing far, and like I feel like if you do that, your natural instinct is to have your head follow to match where you're looking, and it just kind of feels like she's quickly looking over because like maybe someone came into the room and she's like, who's that? Like it's not, it doesn't, it feels like she's uncertain. That's the look that I get from it. She's like, what's going on? That's
sorry, went to sleep.
Mallow. Maybe she's tsundere and doesn't want to look at the camera. Stop.
Oh my God.
Stop. That's my quick thoughts on it.
Her arm that's back, it's bugging me that I can't see the rest of her arm. So it just looks like she just has one hand.
That twin tail is perfectly covering it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's something on her finger.
It's like a claw fingernail thing. I thought it was a Band-Aid at first, but it's like one of those like things that you put on the tips of your fingers and they're like those metal claws. If that makes any sense?
Oh yeah. Why is she wearing one? Doesn't make any sense. That doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know.
I think you're right, Sarah, but I also am like, I don't know.
So like that, because it's on the white, it's like distracting. I would have had her take that off.
Also, like the end of her skirt is kind of like looping up in a weird way. Trying to just like smooth that out and lay it, and have her lay it flat.
It's just super nitpicky, but this is just the way I do it. But I would Photoshop out the safety pins because that bugs me.
Oh, I would too.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, it's all I'm looking at. I can't stop. And especially because it's on such a plain background and you have a dark wig, editing out the flyaways would be so easy.
Yeah. So
there's another success story. Yeah.
Like so easy.
This is actually one where the flyaways don't bother me as much though, but
like the wig is really nice. I really like the wig.
Yeah. Especially for how disastrous wigs like that can get.
Yeah.
They're that long and
I would also color correct the dark circles on her eyes, like in the inner of her eyes, because it looks like she's really tired.
Yeah.
And no one
wants makeup though.
I don't think so. I think that's just dark circles. Like I think that the shadows aren't that bad. It's just that kind of like blue color that's coming through.
Yeah.
I have those really badly, so I get it.
Yeah, this has such potential, but like in my head I'm like, just move over a little bit this way, and so that you're more where she's looking and her feet are more in it.
Yeah.
Bring out
I
the
want
other
her
hands.
to actually shift that pose. I want to shift so it's straight onto the camera. Like turn her instead of turn the camera, because I know where the light's coming from and that'd make the lighting look better, I think, too. And then I think just direct eye contact with the camera too.
Agreed.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on this one, or mosey on to the next shot?
Do we want to talk about the watermark?
I was just about to say, if you have like a light background, definitely find another way to calm that down.
So
I feel like even if it was at the bottom right instead of the top left where her eyes are almost looking, like literally I see her eyes and it goes straight to the watermark because her line of sight is like right through it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be worse than both of you guys on this one. So this watermark shouldn't be. And what I mean,
I wasn't going to go all graphic design here.
No. We talked about stealing of art earlier. That background lens thing is totally a common asset that I've seen floating around the internet, and I don't know if there's Creative Commons on it. I'd be willing to bet there probably isn't.
Yeah.
And using that for your watermark is probably a real bad idea. Probably nothing bad's going to happen from it, but you probably shouldn't.
Or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was purchased. I still think it's like I recognize that instantly and going, yeah, I've seen that graphic like what feels like a million times, because it's such like a. You could probably like Google vector lens and that would be like the first result on Google Images is that background graphic. So yeah, I would really advise coming up with something new. I think your watermark would be so much stronger if it was just the text that you had without that background lens. It would be so much better. So that's my personal advice from that. I agree with both of you. Bottom right corner would be better against that light background is bad, but I was debating whether I should bring it up, and then you both were like, watermark time, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're going here.
You in the comments are also bringing it up, so I was like, fine, we'll bring it up.
Okay.
The theme this week is watermark.
We should just like after I post these to YouTube, we should just be like the watermark episode.
Not wrong.
Okay, so now can we move on to the next one, guys?
Yeah.
Cool. This next one is from Steven, or PTP Cosplay Photography. So I think another theme of this episode could be missed focus.
I knew it. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I knew it.
And man, this one bothers me because there's two areas I would be comfortable, I think, having the focus land in this image, and the focus is on neither of them. On her face, I think is the maybe second best area for this focus. And then on the glasses, I think would be the best area for focus for this image. But it's on neither of those. It's on her hands. Yeah. And which is kind of like almost interestingly impressive that it managed to land in between the two that I feel like I want it to be on. But yeah, it's hard because, you know, I am way better about this now than I used to be because I'm checking all the time because I'm paranoid about landing focus. But I will oftentimes, I used to not, I'd take the photo, look on the back of my camera and go, oh, that's in focus. Because like on like your tiny screen, everything, you know what?
Looks great.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Everything looks better on the tiny screen. The color looks better. All the time I feel like I look on the back of the screen and I'm like, oh, this photo's amazing. Then I get out on my computer and I'm like, wow, I suck. But that's
then you get and you're like, everything's blurry. Everything's out of focus.
Yeah. So what I do is actually I have it set into on my camera. When I press zoom on a photo, it automatically zooms to 100%. Huh. Just so I can.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah, it's amazing. So you're not pressing the zoom button a million times. It literally just punches it.
I need to figure out how to do that, so I'm not wasting seconds of my time.
I'm looking at my camera. I'm like, can I do it?
Yeah. So I don't know if Nikon can, Sarah. I'm like 100% sure your Canon can.
It's like, excuse me, I am Canon, not Nikon. Thank you.
I'm Nikon. Nikon.
Okay.
But yeah, so that what I do to check is since I have it punch into 100%, I will press play and then I press the magnifying glass button and it'll zoom in to 100%. I don't know if all cameras can do it. I have a Canon 6D and it works on my camera. Hopefully for the people that are just like, oh my god, I need to find out if this happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into it.
I hope all your cameras can do it. I think in Canon, it's in the custom functions menu. I think. But if you can't do that, press the magnifying glass one in preview mode and press it a bunch of times till you're 100% view, and then go over to where you need to, where the focus point is, and check. Because, man, so many good shots have been ruined by being out of focus. And even now, I still have plenty of good shots ruined by being out of focus, but...
Yep.
So in this image, though, I really do think that trying to get that focus on the glasses would help a little bit. It's not particularly terrible, but because the focus isn't on her face or the glasses, it just kind of makes the entire image feel out of focus.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the foreground item right now, are the goggles. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a weird image. It's like nothing's terribly out of focus. Like because like her hands are totally in focus, so like it wasn't like a blurry image. It's just I'd rather have the glasses in focus than her hands.
kind of makes me sad that you can't see the face, because I love cell shading and seeing the detail and the work they put in the makeup. It's like I kind of want to see their face more than the goggles.
I guess I'm okay with the goggles doing what they're doing. I just wish the band wasn't sweeping down over her face.
Yeah.
Tucked it in.
The other thing, gosh, and this is hard, because that cell shading makeup is really awesome. And we've got this like weird hard light cutting across part of her face, and then the rest of it kind of being in the shadows / like this warm light coming from the side. It's just like this weird mix up of light that just makes it feel kind of odd. Like I don't think it works well with the cell shaded makeup, because I think there's so much light and so many shadows coming in that we lose the cell shade makeup. Like it's, like it's not nearly as powerful and strong as it could be.
Yeah. I wonder what this shot would look like horizontal and having more of the hands than the body. Probably would benefit.
I wouldn't be against that, but I don't think the composition as it is right now especially bothers me. I just feel like maybe it needs to be zoomed out just a smidge.
Tiny bit. Show a little more.
Yeah. Like, the amount that's showing on the left of the frame is fine. I think it needs to show a bit more on the right of the frame. Just a little bit, but a bit more. The lighting is just my biggest problem, I think, with this image. Like, it's just, like, I don't know what's going on with it, because, like, we're being hidden from
lights from the environment.
It's probably like a con center or something.
Yeah, I imagine this is a con center. Like, it almost has to be.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're getting, like, this, like, this line of light that's, like, cutting across her face and over her lips that's just, like, really unflattering. And that just highlights this triangle, like, right above her lip. It just feels real weird and kind of, frankly, unattractive. And then the fact that, like, God, the color balance on her face ends up being so wonky because of these different lights. Like, it makes her skin feel like on her chin, like she has no saturation, and it's kind of like almost sickly. But then, like, the shadow on the viewer's right on her cheek just looks real weird. It's super orange and dark and just kind of funky. The lighting is just killing me with this shot.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know, like, because this kind of reminds me of, like, what a photo could look like when people use gels and stuff, like, in studio, and, like, the skin is casted. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to make it work. You know what I mean? Because, like, I didn't think it could work, but I don't know. I think the part that's maybe it's the really white light that's kind of not working for me. Like, that's why it's throwing me off, but I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I would have to literally take this in Photoshop and just screw around myself.
Yeah, it's a weird one. When you talked about, like, studio lighting and those weird colors like that, yeah, I get that, but I think, like, studio lighting has such a different feel from it than, like, the weird colored temps that are casted from shitty con hotels and yeah, so yeah, we're just getting these. I think the color temperatures are just flying all over the place. It's just weird.
Yeah. Agreed.
Although I do think, like, outside of having that strap go down across her face, I think, like, compositionally, I think this is pretty strong. I mentioned this in the chat, but I'll do this for the video. If you want to submit photos for our next critique, if you go to submissions.vontography.com, you should be able to submit a photo there, and that will be for our next critique, which will be actually on February 1st. If you have problems submitting to that form, first off, if you've submitted before and the form's giving you an error, try logging in or submitting with a different email, I believe. If that doesn't work, message me on Facebook on my Vontography page, and then you can just like upload the photo to like Dropbox or Google Drive and send it to me there, and then I can add it to that, and you'll be in for next time. So with that done, anyone have any final thoughts on this shot, or ready to move on to the next one?
I'm good.
Cool. Okay, this next one is going to be Ustav's, or A Piece of Light.
I just want to say, I can't remember which photo it was, but you submitted a photo maybe a couple critiques ago. It was taken at Colossal Con against like the waterfall thingy, and that versus like this is the lighting in this is like such an improvement. Like I didn't realize it was from the same person, so I just want to say like what you did here compared to what I recall last time is just so awesome to see. That
for reference,
I don't know, you just upped your,
Sarah, that shot was from our July critique of 2017. So I'm
dang,
sure,
really?
yeah.
Holy shit. Well, regardless, like, man, I don't know. This is such a step up. Makes me really excited.
Yeah, no, this shot is a large improvement from that. Not that I quick looked back at that photo. I actually don't think that photo that Sarah was referencing is necessarily bad by any means.
Yeah. No. But just like, I don't know. I look at it and I'm like, damn, this is great.
So, I am not a Love Live fan by any stretch of imagination.
Favorite subject.
Stop. Stop. I have to deal with this shit enough because of my wife doing Love Live cosplays. No. But if you were to ask me what my favorite set is, I think it's probably the Arabian set, or whatever the name for it is.
Yeah.
I love these outfits.
It's so pretty.
That, and just having these
the veils.
Veils. Yeah. Veils are so fun to work with. And like normally the only way you're working with them is if you're shooting weddings, and it's like, ooh, I don't have to shoot a wedding and I get to work with a cool veil. So yeah, no, this is a really fun cosplay to shoot. There's just so many little details in it. And yeah.
I love how natural her pose feels. Like, even the veil, I don't know if it was flipped or she actually like leaped, but everything just feels like, at least to me, that it just happened naturally. And her body her body shape just looks dang.
Yeah,
I mean,
her pose is on freaking point.
Yeah, it's spot on.
So I'm gonna jump off of what Scott mentioned in the chat, which he wanted to have more of the building in the background. I am not super sure of that. What I do know is I'd either want more of the building or none of the building. Yeah. And what I mean by that is if I were to reframe this with the building, I think I would want the subject, almost completely in front of the building. And then, or, or completely removing it and just having like all those bokeh out leaves and just having it be that and calling it a day. since we, she flipped it herself. Props.
What the fuck? How? Wait, and she did those what? I don't.
That's
what?
Yeah, this is solid. This is real
and her
solid.
hands and arms are great. What?
Yeah.
The fact that her top arm, her hand isn't like, because normally like you could get an arm in the right pose, but then the hand's gonna look stupid.
Yeah.
The fact that her hand looks good too, like both of her hands look nice.
What the fuck?
Is just pissing me off. The one thing I'd say on the veil is it kind of on the top. It has kind of like a triangle shape to it that points outwards. I would kind of liquefy that in so it's just a like one solid like line kind of curving.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's inevitable with that kind of material, especially with all those metallic iron-on pieces. But yeah, liquefy.
Yeah, just get out your liquefy tool. Spend a little time. You can be pretty sloppy with that too, and like you don't need to be pretty precise because there's not a lot of detail in that in any of those areas, so you can kind of be pretty liberal in adjusting it, and it's gonna look good.
I really like the editing on this. Is like what I call like clean editing, which I don't know how to do at all. Like, I don't. Yeah. I've tried it before, and it just like looks like shit. Like it just looks like so bad. So whenever someone is like able to do like a clean edit, where like it's really obvious that they edited it, but they were able to keep all the natural color hues that they captured like on camera, is just like, I don't know. It looks really good. Teach me.
That the funny thing, Sarah, is that's actually what I do with all of my photos before I start going crazy with colors.
What? Oh my god, we need to have a live editing night. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
But what I wanted to kind of address was the luminance values in the background. The shadows.
Wait, what did you say?
Luminance values in the background. The shadows, especially towards the building, just feel a bit too dark compared to the right side of the frame and kind of the brightness of the photo overall. Especially with how bright that veil is, the darkness of the shadows in the building kind of feel a bit too dark. I think that's kind of why I don't necessarily I would maybe have liked this shot without the building in the background.
I think the one thing I always try to remember this, but to me it looks weird, and it's from school, having hair by the armpit. It looks like there's hair coming from the armpit. So if it was just tucked back, that's just me. I don't like hair by any armpit, male, female, anything. So having that just part tucked back.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily super bother me, but I do think it would look better if it were fully tucked behind her shoulder.
And of course, with a cosplay like this, because there's so many pieces, you do have to be careful that all of them are there. So her necklace is a bit tangled. So having to keep eye on like all those pieces is really hard.
Yeah, but I don't. It doesn't necessarily I agree. It doesn't necessarily bother me in the shot because especially knowing that she's like flipping her own cape, their veil, I should say. It's probably flipping just from like that alone.
Right.
Movement out. So yeah, in a perfect world, absolutely. In this world, probably not gonna happen.
I have a really nitpicky thing. But this is just kind of my own curiosity. So I'm wondering why her eyes are brown, because Nico's eyes are red. So I'm just wondering if the cosplayer forgot her red contacts or something, or she just didn't have any. I don't know. For me, like, even when I like, because I've forgotten my contacts before, but I'll ask if the photographer can like change the color, or I'll just like do it myself. But I don't know. I'm just wondering. I don't know. That's just, again, that's like a super nitpicky thing, but
I agree.
at first I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like, well, no, because Umi's blue, so this is definitely Nico because it's pink. So never mind. There's no mistaking it.
Yes.
Okay, good, because there's no. I'm sad that I know the difference between the girls, but I wasn't sure if this was Nico, and I'm just like, I ain't saying shit.
Yeah, it is Nico. This is Nico, but she has no red eyes. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I guess like if I had captured this image and I noticed that her eyes were brown, I would have probably made them red because I'm like, wait, Nico's eyes are red. But I mean, whatever. Anyway, moving on.
Speaking of moving on, any final thoughts on this one before we head on to our final image?
Oh, she didn't have it. She didn't have red contacts. Okay. Yeah, I would have made them red.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's really easy and it's a very like recognizable feature of Nico, and especially because like in these costumes she doesn't have like her twin tails like she usually does. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so let's move on to the final image then.
Good job, Utsa!
From Victoria.
I've always wanted to shoot a Cinderella.
Me too.
So.
Oh wait, I have. So long ago.
So Sarah, can you tell me what's the theme of the night?
Missed focus.
Ding, ding, ding! We have a winner.
Yay!
Yeah. It's
it's a shame that this focus is not even close to being accurate, which is sad. Like this is probably this focus is probably like 2 feet in front of her, which like I'm just like looking at the ground and like it's not even in focus by the end of where this image shows.
Oh, it's not. Yeah.
So like, yeah, this like her face is totally out of focus, and it really hurts the image. So, man, our theme will be focus on nailing your focus. Other thoughts on this one right off the bat. I feel like the exposure on her is just a bit dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering why. I'm just wondering how big this area was, because I'm just wondering why they're shooting within the columns as opposed, because there's clearly daylight.
Yeah.
You know?
What I really want with this image is for her to not. I don't want her to be against the pillar. I want her to be against the
green,
the green and the trees, not the white of the pillar. I think that would make this image look a lot more interesting.
Yeah, the composition's suffering a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
It's too bad. It looks like it's a great location that would be perfect for Cinderella. Yeah. The placement of the model themselves is kind of odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned the centering in the frame. I don't necessarily know if that bothers me in terms of purely her being centered in the frame. I just think it's the objects around her that feel funky, like because the pillar is not also centered on the center of the frame, and then the one is like really close to the edge of the frame to the left, and then one is also like the spacing's totally different. It's just kind of weird. Yeah, it's hard because like I don't necessarily know if you could go from outside of this area and shoot in very well, because you're gonna have like, it's obvious there's like some harsh light going on that's just coming in a little bit. And you're in here to use that open shade, but I still don't even necessarily know like the way you're kind of more backlighting her, So you're kind of losing the nice lighting that you can get from open shade.
Her expression is kind of like it looks like it's forced and kind of like it's I don't know, it's just Cinderella and like Disney is supposed to be very enthusiastic and very extra, and for such a like especially with the movement you would think just be a little bit more extra with her expression.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think that the colors are nice though, and I think the movement in her dress is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of talked to this on this earlier. Her torso and her shoulders, although not completely straight onto the camera, are more straight on than not.
Yeah.
So I would try and, like, if she's doing this movement, I don't know how fast your camera is, but I would try and do like a burst of her, like kind of like flipping it back and forth, and then see which one ends up looking the best. Because I think chances are it's not going to be the one where her shoulders end up being straight to the camera.
Yeah, I find with shots like this, taking more is better because, like for this, of course you miss the focus, so you want to make sure you get that focus. So you just keep doing it. I usually do it. I'll do it 3 times, and every 3 times I do an extra like 2.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I feel like that's the big thing where it's take more photos than you ever think you're going to need of in motion shots. Yep. Because man, it's so hard to get one of those shots perfect. You'll probably need every single you'll probably need every single one.
Yeah. I mean, it's digital now. We can take a lot of photos.
I would like to see other photos from this shoot just to see kind of like what else went on.
I remember seeing some photos from the set.
Oh, did you?
Because I follow the girl. She's a cosplayer too. And I'm not sure why she picked this photo.
Well, they can pick whatever. So maybe she was like seeking comments on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I'm good.
Wait. So the photographer is Coffee Meister, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember they submitted one a while ago too, and it also had a missed focus issue. So
maybe
I would just tell them.
You're remembering this shit better than me.
Yeah. So I would just say, like, I would practice on your focusing, even if you're just taking pictures of like plants, things in your apartment, like, I don't know, whatever. But I would just practice that because that's been the common thing that we've mentioned for your submissions. So, yeah. But that's it.
Cool. Well, with that, I'll switch it off of this and want to thank everyone who submitted photos for this because it is, I think, mildly scary to do, so to kind of open yourself up to critique and ultimately the scary part, criticism. So I hope that you all learn from this, and like even when we are being harsh and nitpicky, understanding that we are being nitpicky, and our goal is not to be mean, like that is not even remotely it, but we want everyone to be growing from these photos. So what I'm trying to say is I hope all this helps, and I hope you take it for the help that we're trying to have it be. I also want to give a huge thanks to Con Mom Photography for joining us today. It's awesome having you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, if anyone has any like final questions for us in the chat before we wrap up, one thing that we like to always follow up with is if you want to re-edit these photos based on our feedback and then like and tag, you know, Sororio Days or Vontography in it, we love seeing that. That's so awesome.
Because no one's been doing it. You guys did it for like the first one, but then no one's done it again. I'm sad.
So yeah, that's awesome when that happens, but so what I'm trying to say is do that again. It's awesome. But
Do it.
yeah, lots of talks about potato mics. That's what this chat has evolved into. French fry mics.
Mallow said she could hear me just fine.
We'll talk about this in a bit later, Sarah. I got some thoughts for you, but that's fine. It's not anything bad. I'm not going to critique your mic.
Someone can buy me a mic. I'm not paying for that.
I'm gonna be like, Sarah, your mic's out of focus. Yeah, and I think with that we'll wrap it up for the night. Thanks everyone. It's been awesome. Have a great night. Thanks everyone in the chat. Like seriously, everyone that's here live talking is just
it's so much fun.
Yeah, it makes us just great. And with that, we will wish you all a good night. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.